Hola, bienvenidos a este live con Keshavaji directo desde la India. Después de ya 4 meses casi transmitiendo en vivo con él, me siento súper agradecida un jueves más de tenerlo aquí. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre Tantra Yoga. Vamos a seguir con el siguiente, completando el capítulo de la semana pasada. Vamos a hablar de Tantra Yoga y también de Kundalini Yoga. Así que prepárense, siéntense, tómense un tecito porque empezamos. Thank you so much, Keshavaji, to be here. And we are ready to listen to you. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. So, we will continue. So, last class we have seen the Tantra and different sadhakas, different types of sadhakas. And according to their level of preparation, the different types of practices we have seen. And also, a lot of distortions. So, a lot of distortions in the Tantra. And so many things are happening in the name of Tantra. And people do all kinds of practices and they call it Tantra. So they try to, satisfy their senses through various means, through various ritualistic practices, and they justify it as a Tantra. They philosophizing it as a Tantra, etc. So what is said is, certain practices you do in order to transcend, but then people take it as literally and it's a problem. So a lot of things are there. So that is very important to understand, because the Tantra is a noble path to self-discovery. So, so Tantra is understanding the science, interpreting the science, so understanding the energy. So, but then, so this happens, and we have discussed about the Panchamakaras. So the practices which are literally interpreted, and also we have other things like so voodoo, so they brand it like certain practices are there, certain practices, so which people have been practicing from time immemorial, from all the cultures all over the world, people are practicing. So but so they are considered to be like very heterogeneous. So and also they have it's a branded, like, so this is we have to understand. And also when we are discussing about the energy, it has got the other side also, so the energy means it's always you can misuse also, there's a chance, and people those who are tamasic nature, so they do misuse, so like you have science, so people do misuse, they use for, so that's what what's called the tamasic nature. So tamasic nature, people, so they do misuse, so we have to keep that also in the mind.
Okay. El otro jueves hablamos de el Tantra, de los diferentes tipos de sadhakas o de practicantes de Tantra, y también hablamos de esa parte del Tantra que es tan mal interpretado con los Panchamakaras, que son personas que han interpretado el Tantra y los escritos de forma literal, y entonces lo que han hecho es satisfacer sus sentidos con prácticas que satisfacen sus sentidos, y han transgiversado el Tantra, que es una práctica noble que lleva al despertar espiritual, hacia prácticas que han tergiversado porque las han traducido literalmente, que no es, es una traducción espiritual la que hay que hacer, y han hecho lo que han querido, ¿no? Entonces, en verdad el Tantra es una ciencia de comprensión de la utilización de la energía, del movimiento de la energía, de cómo utilizamos nuestra energía, y es un camino noble hacia la realización del ser. Esto es muy importante porque hay muchas personas de naturaleza tamásica que han llevado el Tantra hacia otro camino, y está muy mal interpretada la palabra Tantra. Lo que la gente cree que son prácticas de autodesarrollo personal, prácticas que nos llevan a la autorrealización personal. Es muy importante entenderlo porque ha sido muy mal interpretado por una traducción literal.
So, in Vajrayana Buddhism, so see, I mentioned earlier the tantric practices, the tantric practices are common to all the dharmic traditions. So in the Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, and some other Eastern spiritual traditions, even the China, Japan, etc. So they all have the practices, because it's a very old system, and it's a applied science, applied yoga, it's applied yoga and the practices. So these are all practices are there. All the spiritual traditions which are human centric, sadhana based. So they all have these practices. So what happens, especially in the Vajrayana Buddhism, so these Panchamakaras are taken literally. So Panchamakaras are taken literally interpreted, and a lot of distortions happened there. So so then and also this the negative side of the energy. I mean, misuse of the energy also happened. So because when you are working with the energy, when you are practicing mantras and other various sadhanas, so you do get a lot of energy. I mean, you get that siddhis, the siddhi, the powers. So that is why you have to, somebody has to guide, and you have your goal. Your goal should be, so not to get stuck with this samsara. Your goal should be the transcending the whole thing. But then human mind is being what it is. So sometimes there is a downfall, and there is a chance to misuse this, and people have misused it also. So misused these powers to destroy other people also. So this you can see. Of course, later they do realize that. So when spiritually no progress, in fact spiritually it's a fall when you misuse the tantra. So later they have realized it. So you can see that in the famous tantrika Milarepa from the Tibet. There's a famous book also, Milarepa. You can see that. So but later he used powers to so destroy the enemies, etc. But then later he realized it how. So he himself describes everything. So the point is that yes, there is a caution. So you have to. So when you practice all the tantric practices for a lot length of time, you do get a siddhis and all. So there you have to be careful. So you have to use them to transcend, not to fall. So there is always there. So that is why people they use this also, very very prevalent even now. So in India also they do use that. So that is energy is manifesting. So that's how it is. But then so you should not use. You should not go. So against dharma. We have discussed what is dharma. So the all encompassing basic lifestyle of not hurting others. You should not go again. So you have to restrain. So so this we have to keep in the mind.
Okay, I will tell. And which part of the Buddhism is the name? Which part?
Vajrayana Buddhism.
Vajrayana.
Yeah, Tibetan Buddhism. Tibetan Buddhism.
Tibetan. Ah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Hay una cosa muy importante, porque el Tantra es común de todas las tradiciones espirituales asiáticas que están centradas en el ser humano, como por ejemplo el budismo, el hinduismo, el sikhismo, el jainismo. Todas ellas practican Tantra. Pero hay algunas que han ido por esta rama de la malinterpretación de los Panchamakaras, ¿okay? De la interpretación literal de esos textos tántricos. Y uno de ellos es el budismo tibetano. El budismo tibetano ha utilizado esas prácticas tántricas para conseguir determinados poderes, porque lo que sucede es que el Tantra es la ciencia de la utilización de la energía. Entonces, cuando uno hace esas prácticas tántricas, genera una cantidad muy grande de energía y puede conseguir shivas o superpoderes. Entonces, muchas personas y muchas partes de las diferentes religiones, también sucede en India, utilizan esta sadhana, esta práctica, para conseguir superpoderes. Y lo que pasa con eso es que si uno hace la sadhana centrado en conseguir esos superpoderes, lo que va a hacer es mantenerse en el ciclo de samsara. Para salir del ciclo de samsara hay que hacer la práctica focalizándose en la autoliberación, no en conseguir un superpoder y utilizarlo. Por ejemplo, en el libro de Milarepa, él explicaba claramente cómo él consiguió, por la sadhana que hizo, superpoderes y con ellos destruía a sus enemigos. Lo que pasa es que luego él se autorrealizó la verdad de que él no tenía que utilizar esa energía para destruir a nadie, sino para autorrealizarse en sí mismo. Entonces, es muy importante y tiene que tener mucho cuidado porque con las prácticas tántricas uno puede conseguir mucho poder y no saber utilizarlo. Por eso es muy importante la ayuda de un guía, de un gurú, para que nos guíe hacia la buena utilización de esa energía. Es muy importante.
Okay. So, now, so this is very important to understand what is not Tantra. Okay.
Yes.
So that is why I was mentioning this one. So Tantra is not black magic or witchcraft. So these are the names that they have given to just to finish off all the native cultures, you know. So
Yes.
so just to finish them, so you have to brand them. So you have to brand them, and so this is what it is. So all the shamanic, the shamanic practices, all the what is called nature worship, people worshiping the nature. They're all doing they're all tantra practitioners, worshiping the mother nature, and animism. So animism means it's not any negative term, but they call it as a negative term and things like that, just to brand them. Or pagans, they're simply nature worshippers. Pagans, all over the world you can see, all over the world they are there. So it's very natural for a human to appreciate the nature, the nourishing the nourishing the nature, So it's all they're all tantric practices. So these are the things we have to understand. So the practices are very common to all over the culture and all over the world, in all the cultures. So yes. So yeah. Okay. So yes. So now let us go to the next topic. Now.
Okay, I will translate this. Entonces, solamente para dejar claro lo que no es Tantra, Tantra no es magia negra y no es brujería, ¿ok? El Tantra sí se puede relacionar con el animismo, por ejemplo, o la entrega hacia la naturaleza, como el chamanismo, se podría decir, ya que todas esas culturas que adoran a la madre tierra y a la naturaleza, eso ni magia negra, ni brujería, no tiene nada que ver con eso.
Yeah. So now, so this Tantra, the practices of Tantra in general, so you can have two types of Tantra practices. You can divide in that way. So two types of, or you can say two schools, or yeah. So you can say two types of practices. So one is, so you cannot say schools of practice, but two types of practice. So
yes.
So one is external practices and the internal practices. So so Bahiranga sadhanas and Antaranga sadhanas. So Bahiranga Tantra sadhanas and Antaranga sadhanas. So Bahiranga is external practices. And Antaranga is internal practices. So you understand. So we can understand the journey. The journey is from external to internal. So because the whole journey is inner journey, inner spiritual journey, discovering oneself, Yes. So you start with the external, so more grosser level, then you go to subtle, then finally subtler level, and discovering the self. So this you can see not only in Tantra, you can see in the yoga, you can see in the Vedic system. So it's always there. So you start from where you are and you reach what you are. This is the basic principle. You start from where you are, in whichever state of evolution you are, you start from there, and you prepare yourself, and the journey is from gross to subtle. So this is journey. That's why here also you can see. So we have external and internal. So this is the basic division, you can say.
Hay dos tipos de prácticas en el Tantra, una es externa y otra interna. La externa se llama Bahiranga Tantra, prácticas Bahiranga de Tantra, y las internas es Antaranga Tantra. Siempre se empieza así, de lo externo hacia lo interno. Es un viaje de afuera hacia adentro, un viaje de dónde estás hacia lo que tú eres. Ese es el mismo camino. Comenzamos a investigar, a estudiar hacia afuera para llegar hacia adentro y autodescubrirnos a nosotros mismos.
Yeah. So Bahiranga sadhanas are all the external practices. In the external practices, we have various kind of worships. So Devata Puja. So Devata Puja means worshipping the deity. So worshipping the deity, mantra practices, elaborate mantra practices, elaborate rituals, So invoking the Devata and all the esoteric practices are there. Esoteric practices involving a lot of samagri. Samagri means materials, physical materials. Elaborate pujas. So so pancha, so dasha, and shodasha upacharas. They are called upacharas. Upachara means the protocol. The protocol of invoking the deity in a particular place. So preparing the place and the time also very important. The time and place and preparing the place and and invoking the deity and doing all the esoteric practices. So then again sending off. It's all very very systematically done. It's a elaborate, very subtle practices are there. So that means invoking the energy, channeling the energy, in the form of in the deity. So on the mantra practices, So these are all what we. So these are all for various purposes. So gaining some material wealth, or it can be gaining the health for health purposes and gaining the material or whatever siddhis, getting the siddhis, etc. So these are all external practices.
Ok. Las prácticas externas, Bahiranga, Tantra, son de adoración, worshipping, adoración a deidades, ¿ok? Y se llama Devata Puja. Puja es el propio protocolo, toda la ceremonia que se hace, ¿ok? Se llama Devata Puja. Y eso intervienen la recitación de mantras bien complejos, también rituales, invocaciones, prácticas esotéricas bien complejas, en las que hacen falta bastantes materiales, ¿ok? Los protocolos se llaman upacharas. Y esos son los protocolos, ¿ok? Esas puyas se hacen con unos protocolos, se hacen en un tiempo específico, en un lugar específico, con una invocación específica. Y hay que hacerlos bien exactos, porque estamos invocando energías, estamos invocando deidades, y esos protocolos, esas ceremonias se utilizan para conseguir, por ejemplo, bienes materiales, abundancia, dinero, salud, o muchas otras cosas. Pero lo importante entender es que hacen falta cosas externas, se hace un ritual que tiene un protocolo muy específico, en el que entran mantras, entran cantos, invocaciones, y es una práctica completa que tiene un protocolo que hay que aprender.
Yeah. So, this mantra and yantra and mandala, these are the common practices for all. So, tantra is mantra, So, now, here when you do the pujas, so in a puja, or it can be yajna also. It can be homa or it can be yajna, where the physical fire is involved. So you are invoking the energy in the fire. You are channeling the universal energy in the fire. So the fire ritual can be a short one. Just you do for half an hour or 1 hour, or it can be whole day long, or it can be even a few days. And elaborate rituals are there, even it can go for 1 month like that. So rituals, these are all external rituals. When it comes to puja, there also where it can be very short one. You can just do in 15 minutes, half an hour. So that is why you call pancha upachara. Pancha upachara means there are 5 steps. There are only 5 steps. So you do invoke. Or it can be shodasha. It can be dasha upachara. So 10 steps. 10 steps. Then it can be 16 steps, a little more elaborate, So you might have seen the puja, doing the puja. Yes. So it's a very important ritual. It's an external ritual. There are a lot of steps. So you are invoking the deity and you are chanting the mantra, you are offering water, you're offering food, and So this is all external practices, we do. So like that, number of practices are there. So the Dasha Mahavidyas. So worshipping the 10 types of 10 different types of goddess, very elaborate. So it can be mantra also. So doing mantra japa, etc. So they all come under external worship. So there are a lot of samagri. Samagri means the material. You need the materials. So you are physically offering material. So this is the external.
Okay. En estas prácticas externas se necesitan muchos materiales, cosas en las que uno hace determinados protocolos para hacer todo el ritual. Estos rituales se llaman pujas y la mayoría requieren el fuego como principal elemento, Agni. A través del fuego se invocan esas energías. Estos rituales pueden durar desde 15 minutos hasta un mes. O muchos días, ¿ok? Hay rituales muy diferentes. Puede ser un ritual que uno hace en 15 minutos, media hora, como puede durar varias horas, como puede durar un día, varios días o incluso un mes. ¿Ok? Entonces, diferentes tipos de fuegos, más grandes, más pequeños, pero se invoca la energía a través del fuego. Hay diferentes tipos de rituales. Hay rituales específicos que conllevan, por ejemplo, 5 pasos. Hay otros que conllevan 10 pasos, otros que llevan 16 pasos y así sistemático. ¿Ok? Hay rituales hechos para cada tiempo. Entonces, es sistemático. Uno necesita unos materiales específicos para realizar un protocolo específico en el que se utilizan mantras elaborados, yantras, como habíamos hablado el otro día, y determinados utensilios para invocar esas energías. Esas son las prácticas externas.
Yeah. So all the external practices are more like a material, gaining the material wealth, etc. It can be for purification of the body, healing the body, etc. Because there are some rituals where we practice, to purify, to heal the body, So like that, especially the fire rituals, the healing fire rituals are there. So, but then the journey has to go. I mean, you have to progress spiritually, So the journey, inner journey. So inner journey from external to internal. So that's the final, So that is why slowly. So we will be gravitating towards the more inner purification, antakarana shuddhi, So from bhuta shuddhi to antakarana shuddhi. Bhuta shuddhi is a purification of the body, etc. Then internal purification. Then finally discovering the self. So this is we can see. So that is why even in the fire ritual, so the fire symbolizes. So fire symbolizes not only external practices and also internal practices. So that is all. The message is always there. So the message is always there, even when you do external practices, bahiranga. But then the hidden meaning, the implied meaning is don't stop here. Don't stop here. You start from here, but don't stop it here. You convert this. You take this ritual to internal. So internal, more internal. Finally, until you transcend the whole thing and discover yourself. So that is why. So even in a fire ritual, so we have physical fire, and we have the same fire becomes the meditation, fire of meditation. When you do meditation, then the same fire becomes the fire of knowledge when you discover yourself. So this is a journey, you can see. So we have Bhutagni, we have Dhyanagni, and we have Jnanagni. So Bhutagni. So Bhutagni is a physical fire, physical fire. Then we have Dhyanagni. So Dhyana. So Dhyana means meditation, Dhyanagni.
Yes.
So then from that, so you go to Jnanagni. What is called Jnana? So Jnanagni. So now fire of meditation and fire of knowledge. So you see. So in Bhutagni is a physical fire. In then the Dhyana, there is no physical fire there. There is only internal. So like that. Yeah, I will continue.
Yes, okay. En la parte de la purificación externa siempre es para llegar hacia la purificación interna, ¿ok? Todos los rituales externos pueden hacerse para conseguir abundancia, para conseguir salud, pero siempre, por supuesto, está el objetivo y el foco espiritual, desde afuera e ir hacia adentro. Entonces, ahí está el simbolismo del fuego. El fuego es simbolizado en la parte exterior y en la parte interior en diferentes niveles de desarrollo personal. En la parte exterior se llama Buddha Agni. En la parte interior pasa a ser Dhyana Agni. en la meditación. Ese es el fuego de la meditación. Y luego, cuando trascendemos eso y lo convertimos en sabiduría, se llama Jnana Agni, que es el fuego del conocimiento, de la sabiduría. Después de Dhyana Agni, de la meditación, pasas a Jnana Agni, que es la sabiduría. Y ese es el significado del fuego externo al fuego interno que transmuta.
Yeah. So, whether it is a puja, worshipping the deity, or it is a homa, so fire ritual. So you start with the physical level, then you take it to the meditation level, mind level, then at the spirit, at the level of the Atma, spirit. So here, so when you say Bhuta Agni means, so Bhuta means a physical, so Bhuta. So where you have elaborate ritual and you are lighting the physical fire, physical ceremonially we lit the fire, and the fire becomes the medium. Fire becomes the medium, and unto the fire we are invoking the universal energy, and we are offering. You offer. So there are material, physical material, samagri. We call it samagri. So all the material. So with the mantra, with the awareness, you are offering to that fire. So when you offer this, when you offer, so immediately you can see that. So this offering becomes one with the fire and gets burned down in the fire. It burned down in the fire. It becomes ashes immediately. So this physical fire, when you do so with the mantra and awareness, so it purifies. It purifies the body. It heals the body. It purifies the atmosphere. It's a physical. The physical level, it is purifying and healing, body. So you are offering the material, so which you prepare and you offer with the mantra and awareness. So this is the physical level. Now, this you cannot stop here. I mean, you have to. This is only first stage. So you take this to the second stage. That is the meditation. So in the meditation, so when you sit for meditation, your meditation becomes the fire ritual. So that is called the Dhyana Agni. So meditation becomes a ritual. So there you don't need to have all the samagri, all the material, etc. You don't need to lit the fire physically, but you just sit for meditation. That becomes the ritual again. So internal ritual, inner ritual. So your meditation becomes the fire ritual. There you are offering, because the fire means when you are lighting the fire, you are invoking the energy, means you have to offer. So what do you have to offer? So whatever you don't want, you can offer into the fire of meditation. So all the negative emotions, thoughts and feelings, resentment, hurt, guilt, all these things you can offer into the fire of meditation. And unto the fire of meditation, everything is gets burned down, and all the emotional healing, emotional purification, so it happens in the fire of meditation. Then so you heal, psychological healing, the physical healing externally, internally psychological healing, psychological purification, emotional purification. Then finally you go even further. So when it comes to the next level, the ultimate level, that is a Jnana Agni. In the Jnana Agni, so you offer. So we are offering unto the Jnana Agni, the fire of knowledge, we are offering. So self-ignorance, all the conditionings, so all the samskaras and all the conditionings, self-ignorance and self-ignorance causal conditionings, all of them we offer into the fire of knowledge, and we discover ourselves, Satchidananda Atma, so discover, self-discovery. So this is a journey. You can see this all the time in all the practices we have. Yeah.
Very nice. Entonces, como estábamos diciendo, el viaje va de afuera hacia adentro. Entonces, en los diferentes tipos de fuego, el fuego externo para el que hacemos un ritual, Buddha Agni, a ese fuego alimentamos ese fuego y le damos como lo que nosotros queramos purificar físicamente. Al alimentar físicamente ese fuego en los rituales del fuego, se alimenta el fuego, se le dan determinadas cosas para nutrir ese fuego, y en la ceremonia es como si uno entregara la parte física o cualquier enfermedad, cualquier cosa que queramos purificar en nuestro cuerpo, se lo entregamos al fuego para que lo purifique. El fuego es purificador, ¿ok? Entonces, en esas ceremonias externas lo que hacemos es purificar el cuerpo físico, entregando es toda esa parte que queremos purificar de nuestra parte física. En el Dhyana Agni, en la parte de cuando vamos ya a meditar, en la parte de la meditación en sí es un ritual. Entonces, en ese ritual también hay un fuego interno, que es el fuego de la meditación, al que podemos entregar toda la parte mental y emocional que no nos sirve. Todas las preocupaciones, el odio, la ira, la angustia, la ansiedad, todas esas emociones y pensamientos que no nos gustan, los podemos entregar al fuego de la meditación para purificar nuestra mente y nuestro cuerpo emocional. Entonces, en Dhyana Agni purificaríamos nuestra mente y nuestras emociones. Cuando pasamos a Jnana Agni, ahí lo que vamos a purificar son las impresiones, los samskaras que tenemos. La ignorancia personal. Eso es lo que el fuego del conocimiento Jnana Agni va a purificar, es nuestra ignorancia para poder liberarnos del ciclo de samsara y poder autodescubrirnos. Entonces, a ese fuego, el fuego de Jnana, del conocimiento, vamos a entregarle nuestras impresiones, nuestros condicionamientos y nuestros samskaras para autorrealizarnos.
Yeah. So this you can see in the Vedas. So when you have four divisions, so Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishads, so we have seen earlier. So there you can see Samhita in the first portion. There are four portions. First portion is Samhita. Samhita and Brahmana, you can say, is external, all the external practices. Samhita is a mantra practice praising the various forces, and also the rituals. So we have elaborate rituals, So this is the external, you can see. But then Samhita and Brahmana. Then we have Aranyaka. In the Aranyaka is more upasanas. In the upasana means mental worships. So mental practices. So you can see the journey. You can journey, internal journey already. So mental, then Upanishads. Upanishads are Jnana Yoga. So purely internal, self-inquiry and philosophical, So you can see that. So from gross to subtle. So the same thing here also. So from gross to subtle. Even in Ashtanga Yoga, you can see that. Even in the Ashtanga Yoga, you can see that. So physical practices, they're more like a gross. Gross in the sense it's a more tangible. So that's in that sense I am using. Because in the gross is they use in a negative, with a negative connotation. Not in that sense. It's a more physical. You can see that. When you sit for meditation, still all internal journey. But then when you do asana and all, you can see, all the more tangible. That's what I meant. So from gross, then slowly you can see that asana, pranayama, more subtle. Then pratyahara, then working with the mind, working with the emotions. Then finally the meditation, then samadhi. You can see the journey. So there also you can see the same. The same thing also here also tantra also.
Very good. En los Vedas, por ejemplo, en las cuatro divisiones principales de los Vedas, que es Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka y Upanishads, los dos primeros son de prácticas exteriores, son recitación de mantras y de determinadas prácticas que son hacia el exterior, más en la parte física. La parte de Aranyaka y Upanishads, Aranyaka son prácticas mentales, prácticas internas, ¿ok? Como los upasanas. Y los Upanishads es puro Jnana Yoga, autoindagación. Entonces, todo eso es totalmente interno. Va todo de la parte más grosa a la más sutil. Y eso lo mismo también se puede ver en Ashtanga Yoga, ¿ok? En los 8 limbs, en los 8 brazos del yoga, también se puede ver eso. Uno pasa de la parte más grosa, más física, de las asanas, el pranayama, a las partes más sutiles, como la concentración y la meditación. Entonces, igual se ve en toda la parte que uno va de lo más grosso, de lo más físico, a lo más sutil, más mental. De esa manera es como vamos purificando.
Yeah. So what we do externally, so same thing you do internally. So that becomes now that becomes Antaranga Yoga. So Antaranga Sadhana, Antaranga Tantra, you can say Antaranga Tantra or Antaranga Yoga, it's all the same. So in the internal practices, so when you do internal Tantra, so here one more thing. When you do external practices, it's very, it has to be one has to properly initiate it. When you do Antaranga, Bahiranga Tantra practices, so since we are dealing with the energy, we are, channeling the energy. So you need proper preparation. Proper preparation, you need a guide, proper guide, because we are working with the energy, so proper guide and proper protocol you have to follow, and so the steps are there, and it's all very elaborate, you cannot even describe it. So it's all because it's all esoteric practices. These are very symbolic also, and you need to have purification of the bhuta shuddhi, practice purification of the body, etc. A lot of pranayamas you have to do, and purifying with the mantra. So you chant the mantra and purify yourself, internal purification, etc. So that is why all this matruka nyasa. So nyasa means purifying the body. In the matruka nyasa, anganyasa, karanyasa, matruka nyasa. So all these are purificatory rituals. So it all the dikshas. So diksha means the initiations. Initiating, and so these are very very elaborate, and also little complicated also, so to speak. Complicated in the sense it's a very not complicated. It's a very nuanced, very nuanced, because it's all energy. You need a master, etc. So so the guidance you should have. Now, when it comes to the internal practices, there also you need a guidance, but then it's more like the internal. It's more like your awareness, your awareness, and your enthusiasm, your shraddha, your dedication, your devotion. That is more important. External practices, in the external practices, you need more diksha and guidance, etc. So there also, of course, you need shraddha is always there. Shraddha and dedication is always there. But then when it comes to internal practices, so more depending on oneself, yourself, your dedication and your enthusiastic urgency to achieve. That's more important. So now in the internal practices, it's all more spiritual. It's more spiritual. External practices also a lot of a lot of conditions are there, because there you are expecting something. External in the external practices, and very strict also. You have to practice means you have to do that much. You have to do 1 million times mantra means you have to do 1 million times exactly, because you are expecting something. So the deity requires that the discipline, the dedication, and the protocol.
Yes.
So, but when it comes to internal, there can be some liberation. It can be a little liberal. So because internal practices are more antakarana shuddhi. So purifying oneself, and you are not expecting anything. You are expecting inner peace, inner joy, and purification of the mind, heart, etc. So that is there. Yeah.
Okay. Algo muy importante es que en las prácticas externas, Bajiranga Tantra, es muy importante seguir un protocolo. Esas prácticas requieren una iniciación diksha de un maestro, de un gurú. Esas cosas no se hacen solos, hay que ser iniciado porque el protocolo es muy importante seguirlo. Se están llamando energías, invocando diferentes energías, entonces hay que hacer un protocolo muy específico. También para la iniciación, para poder hacer esas prácticas, uno tiene que pasar por una purificación física y mental. Entonces hay muchas prácticas externas, tanto pranayama como mantra, para purificarse uno para poder hacer esos rituales. ¿Ok? Requiere una purificación muy profunda, una iniciación por un maestro y aprender muy bien los protocolos. Por eso esas prácticas son muchísimo más complicadas, porque estamos invocando energías y realmente debemos saber lo que estamos haciendo. ¿Ok? Sin embargo, con las prácticas internas es mucho más devocional, es mucho más personal, hacia adentro. ¿Ok? Ya cuando se recita un mantra, por ejemplo, hacia afuera, si uno tiene que repetirlo 1.000.000 de veces, tiene que repetirlo 1.000.000 de veces. Es una práctica como fija, ¿no? Tiene un protocolo. Pero cuando ya son prácticas internas, por ejemplo, autoindagación o prácticas internas, ya es mucho más intuitivo, mucho más devocional y más como de la energía, del ímpetu que uno le ponga. ¿Ok? Ya no son unos protocolos tan estrictos, es mucho más libre la práctica. Pero también, por supuesto, hace falta una guía. Es muy importante eso, hace falta una guía, un gurú, tanto para las prácticas externas como para las prácticas internas, para ir paso por paso, purificando también dentro y para que vaya fluido, no haya problemas en esas prácticas, ¿ok? Entonces también hace falta guía para lo interno como para lo externo.
Yeah. So, in the Bahiranga sadhanas, external practices, so there are some shortcuts also. You know, if you want quick results, quickly you want to get, so there are some shortcuts. Of course, you have to have some master guru under the guidance we have to do. I'm just only mentioning. So there are some shortcuts like maybe it's considered to be very heterogeneous, very heterogeneous, or maybe it's not for everyone. It's only for some people, those who are have shortcut practices. Like there are certain practices where you do. I think I mentioned in the last time. So you do certain tantric practices. So in the burial ground, in the crematorium, burial ground, etc. So these are all meant for quick results, getting a quick results. So the idea is so you see the philosophy behind. So practicing in the burial ground means so that means we have to conquer the fear. Conquering the fear is very important, So because the main thing for the human being is the main fear is the fear of death, So that also, see why the fear of death, because we are going against the very nature of self. So self is immortal, ever immortal, never die, never born, never going to die. But because of the self ignorance, so we take ourselves to the body, and the body is going to die anyway. And I think that I am going to die. So that is why, because I cannot go against my the nature, which is eternal, immortal. So but anyway, so the fear of death is to conquer that. So there are some practices. They are called shortcut practices. So that you conquer the very fundamental obsession, the fundamental impediment of the sadhaka, that is the fear of death. So discovering that I am immortal, so there is no death, like that. So same thing also, there are certain addictions. There are certain addictions. So now you practice that in order to overcome that. So that's an emotional control. So having a control over your emotions and senses, etc. So there are some practices. So that's what people misinterpret and distort the practices. So anyway, so these are the shortcut practices in the Bahiranga, external practices. So okay.
En la parte externa, como son prácticas externas para purificar el cuerpo y la mente, también hay determinadas prácticas que son como atajos, ¿no? Que hacen que toda esa purificación suceda más rápido. Por supuesto, hace falta un gurú, un maestro para hacer estas prácticas. Y estas prácticas se hacen muchas veces en crematorios, ¿ok? Donde se quema la gente muerta. ¿Por qué? Porque uno de los miedos más grandes que tiene el ser humano, o el mayor miedo que tiene, es el miedo a la muerte. Entonces, para superar este miedo primordial del ser humano, el miedo a la muerte, se hacen determinadas prácticas en los crematorios donde se queman los cuerpos físicos para superar este miedo. También hay otras prácticas para superar las adicciones de los sentidos. Todo esto son prácticas guiadas que acortan el camino, pero son prácticas muy intensas que tienen que ser guiadas.
Yeah. So now, when it comes to internal practices, so you don't need to go to anywhere. So all you need is a place and you can sit. Everything is internal. So all internal practices. So when it comes to the internal and the antaranga sadhanas, so you can take Kundalini Yoga. So Kundalini Yoga is a antaranga sadhana, And not only Kundalini Yoga, we have Manasa Pujas, so Manasa mental worships, all the mental worships and upasanas. The upasanas, what you do externally, you can do internally also. When you do externally, you need all this. But when you do internally, you don't need anything. All you are doing internally, using the prana, using the mudras, using the asana, mudras and bandhas. So you do internally. There becomes internal practices. So they are all Kundalini sadhana, Kundalini practices. So these internal practices for purification, antakarana shuddhi. So purification of the body and discovering the integrating the energies of the body and transcending, integrating the energies of the physical body. Same in the pranic body. Then the mind. then finally you transcend. So that's how all the mudras, all the bandhas which we are going to discuss, they're all meant for that. First all the energies are scattered. So first you have to integrate it. Then finally transcend. Go to the next level, next level, next level. So this is the expansion of consciousness. Each level you work with, and each level you are working with, and you are integrating, and that becomes like a stepping stone for the next level, next level. So this is systematically you go each and every level, and finally you transcend the whole thing and understand who you are. That is what all the steps of yoga, and also all the chakras. First chakra, second chakra. You see systematically arrangement. So so very beautifully arranged system. So this is what is the internal yoga means internal tantra, because the yoga is applied tantra. So these are the internal practices.
En las prácticas internas, del Tantra es lo que se llama Kundalini Yoga. Entonces ahí es el movimiento de la energía también, incluso dentro de lo más grosso, lo más sutil. Se puede hacer también la adoración mental, todas las upasanas, toda la adoración a los devatas se puede hacer mental, pero uno ya no necesita tantas cosas afuera, no necesita nada para las prácticas internas, nada más sentarse y hacer todo ese protocolo internamente. Entonces, hay también pasos para ir avanzando desde lo más grosso a lo más sutil, como por ejemplo los 8 brazos del yoga, también se pueden hacer internos, ¿ok? También se puede ir de la parte más grosa a la más sutil, y lo mismo con Kundalini Yoga, con los chakras. Desde los chakras más grosos se van subiendo hacia lo más sutil. Entonces, el mismo camino para ir yendo purificando y acercándonos cada vez a lo que realmente somos.
Yeah. So when it comes to internal, so we have Kundalini Yoga, a classical example of internal tantra, and we have Manasa Pujas, various mental worships, mental pujas, and mental upasana, mental meditations, internal meditations, and internal mantra sadhanas. They are all part of the internal tantra yoga. So in Mahanirvana Tantra, so Mahanirvana Tantra says, so just for an example, how internal practices, So Mahanirvana Tantra says, so your seat, not your seat, the seat of the deity. See, in the external practices, so when we invoke the devata, so there is a seat. We have to offer the seat to the deity. Then we have to offer the water, water to drink. Like a guest comes, immediately. So we offer something to drink, like that. There is ritual.
Yes.
There's a steps these are the steps protocol in the puja. So we have to offer the seat, and we have to offer the water for the taking bath. It's like a deity is like a guest. So in a human form, you have to visualize. You have to visualize in a human form. I told you earlier. So humanizing the divine in order to divinize the human. So this is the central theme. So humanizing the divine in order to divinize the human. So that is why people say why there are so many deities. Why the gods are so human, like that. People they discuss why the gods are so human. Why? Because you have to divinize the human. That is why we are humanizing the divine. So, but anyway, so when we invoke the deity, so we are offering the water, we are offering the seat, we are offering the food, we are offering the clothes, and there are some other service. They are called upacharas, or they are called seva. Finally you ask the deity to take rest sometime. When the deity is sleeping, you do singing, classical singing, like that. Then finally you send off, the sending of the deity, like that. These are the steps. So there we are offering food, etc., flowers, etc. So we are honoring the deity and offering the clothes, etc. These are the external. So same thing you do internally. So in that case, what happens? Your heart lotus, Hridaya Padmam, Hridaya Kamalam, your heart lotus becomes the seat for the deity. So there you are invoking the deity internally. So Soham Bhavena Pujaye. So internally, everything is. So Deho Devalaya Proktaha, Jivo Deva Sanatanaha. Tasmat Teje Ajnana Nirmalyam, Soham Bhavena Pujaye. That means everything is internal now. Everything is internal. So whatever you are doing externally, you are doing internally. The finally you becomes the deity. The finally you are discovering that you are that. So finally, you become the deity itself. So oneness of the individual and the universal, individual aspect and universal aspect. So yeah.
Very good. Entonces, en la parte interna, la práctica interna es el Kundalini Tantra, que en el que también se hacen pujas, esas adoraciones, esas celebraciones se hacen mentales, ¿ok? En la parte física se hace un tipo de protocolo específico en el que, por ejemplo, cuando uno invoca una energía, una deidad, se le ofrece un asiento, se le ofrece agua para limpiarse, para beber, se le ofrece comida, se le ofrece ropa, se le ofrece un lugar donde descansar a la deidad. Hay un protocolo específico. Lo mismo se hace mentalmente, ¿ok? Cuando se hace mentalmente ya pasa a ser una práctica interna, totalmente interna, y cuando se le ofrece un asiento a la deidad, en la parte física, donde se le ofrece es en el corazón, en la flor de loto, en una flor de loto en el corazón. Ese es el asiento de la deidad cuando nosotros invocamos esa energía. Y meditando y trabajando en eso, llega un momento en que nosotros mismos nos convertimos en esa deidad y nos damos cuenta que nosotros somos la deidad misma. Entonces, en la práctica interna también tiene esa parte de la puya, esa práctica de la puya también tiene un protocolo, sobre todo de ofrecerle un espacio donde descansar, que es nuestro corazón, y luego poco a poco nos vamos transformando en nosotros mismos, que somos una deidad.
Yeah. So this is the practices from external to internal. So here, so your seed becomes your heart becomes the seed for the deity. You know. Then, so padya. So padya is the water we offer when a guest comes. You know, you do water, you offer some water or whatever,
Yes.
you know, something. So that becomes like the nectar that comes from the Sahasrara chakra. So the nectar that comes from the Sahasrara chakra. So that nectar becomes the water to the you offer to the deity internal. You know. So like that the description. Then so padya. Argya. So Argya also again the water. So water to purify. So water Padya is the water to purify the body, and Argya is to have some water. You know, drinking the water. You know, just having some water. So that becomes your mind becomes like a Padya to the deity. You know, you offer your mind. So when you concentrate with full awareness, that means you are offering your mind to the deity within. You know, like that. Then Chitta, the memory. So memory becomes the garland. So this is a very typical example, Indian example, that you offer garland in honoring. You know. So your memory, Chitta, becomes the garland to the deity. Then incense becomes your prana. You know, your prana. You are doing the prana. So the prana becomes the incense. So we do this incense. You know. So like we do incense. You know, like, or we do lamp also. We offer the lamp also. So like incense. So incense becomes your prana. Then we worship. So we worship the deity with the names. It's called Ashtottara. So 108 times or 1008 times. You have a lot of time. Then we do the 1008 names of the deity and you worship. Or commonly 108 times. 108 times you do. It's called Ashtottara Puja. So 108 times you do the mantra of the deity and you offer the flowers like this. So those flowers becomes the compassion. So compassion, non-injury, wisdom, so charity, etc. They become the flowers to the deity, internal deity. So you can see that. So here it's all internal journey. So internal journey, internal purification. So worshipping the internal deity. So you know.
Yes, perfecto. Entonces, en la parte interna se va haciendo el protocolo, como hablábamos. Entonces, el asiento que se que vamos a nacer es el asiento que le vamos a dar a la deidad. Entonces, cuando se le ofrece agua en la parte externa, en la parte interna, la representación sería ofrecerle el néctar que sale de Sahasrara cuando nos iluminamos. Amarrita, es el néctar que sale de Sahasrara, ese es el agua que le ofrecemos a la deidad, simbólicamente. También bebemos agua para purificar el cuerpo y la mente, que se llama Argya. se le ofrece Chitta como el guardián de la deidad. Todo esto simbólico hacia adentro. Entonces, Chitta sería el guardián de la deidad. Ofrecemos Chitta, que es nuestra memoria, una parte de la mente, se la ofrecemos a la deidad como su guardián. También en vez del incienso que se hace externamente o la lámpara, entonces internamente le ofrecemos nuestro prana, por ejemplo. Y también en la parte de la repetición de los nombres, de la repetición del nombre de la deidad que se hace externo, la puya, que se canta también internamente 108 veces el nombre de la deidad, ¿ok? Y, por ejemplo, cuando se le ofrecen flores a la deidad de forma externa, uno le puede ofrecer sentimientos de compasión, de bondad. Entonces, todo eso es nuestro ofrecimiento interno a esa deidad. Es la misma puya, como podemos ver, en diferentes pasos, pero internamente, porque internamente también tenemos mucho que ofrecerle.
Yeah. So, these are the internal yamas and niyamas, that all the values,
Yes.
the universal values, personal values, they all become like a flowers, So,
Flower.
so anyway, so this is the internal journey. Now, the Kundalini Yoga. So, the Kundalini Yoga is typical internal tantra. Now, what are the practices? Okay, before going to that, there is a small anecdote. So that is, so Sri Ramakrishna, very famous saint, Sri Ramakrishna. So from Bengal in the last century. So he was a priest in the temple, Kali temple. So he was a enlightened person, enlightened master. So he was a priest. He was doing like a worship of them. So he was a priest in the temple, and he was very great devotee of Kali. So and he was a priest in the Kali temple. Then, so in the temple means so it's a external practice, So in the temple we do bahiranga, external practice. So there you have to offer the flowers, and you have to chant the mantras, and you have to give the deity the food to the deity. So this is a part of the protocol of the puja. So where daily we are offering the food to the deity ceremonially with the mantras and Ashtotra Nama. So all the 100 names of the Kali, so mother goddess. So you have to chant and you have to offer the flowers, etc. These are the things. So this you start. So he started like that. Then after some time he went so deep, in the devotion so deep. Afterwards, what happens? He used to do the whole worship to himself. Instead of offering to the deity, so he was doing for himself. He was instead of offering to the water to the deity, he was taking like himself. Like that. At one point, he went so deep. He was doing the worship to himself. So, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Ya volvió la transmisión. Ahora. Yes, now. Very
Okay.
good. Very good. We were with Krishna interiorizing in the temple.
Yes. Sri Ramakrishna.
Yes.
So his disciple was Swami Vivekananda, very famous Swami
Yes.
Vivekananda. So, but anyway, so when he was doing, so he was doing internally, and he used to get into samadhi. After some time, get into samadhi, freeze. So like our internet frozen like that. So
Yes.
he used to go get into samadhi, completely shutting the whole thing. So like that. So but anyway, so this is an example. You see, internal journey from external to internal. So this is what I want to say. This is what I was telling. So anyway, this is an anecdote. So how the journey from internal to, and this reflects in all the practices. This reflects in all the practices. The internal meaning, the spiritual meaning is that even if you take a simple word like Agni, fire, that's the first word in Rig Veda. In the Rig Veda is the first Veda, and the first word in the Rig Veda is Agni. Of course, Om is the first word, but Agni is the very second. So Agni. That Agni means it represents all the three levels. So Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, Adhyatmika. So the physical fire and the fire of knowledge, and the fire of meditation and the fire of knowledge. So this is what the journey. Now, so the Kundalini Yoga. So Kundalini Yoga, or in general Hatha Yoga, you can say the Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga includes the Kundalini Yoga. So Hatha Yoga is applied Tantra. Applied Tantra, and it is Antaranga Sadhana. So internal practices. Now what is Hatha Yoga? So Hatha Yoga includes asana, everything. All the practices including Kundalini. So is a part of Hatha Yoga, is a part of Tantra. So yoga is a Tantra only. So it's not any different. So since people do separate because the Tantra has got this the negative negative reputation because of the people practicing and wrongly interpreting. So so there is a separation. People think that yoga is different, and Veda is different, and Tantra is different. That's not at all correct. So of course there are some people they do because of the negative reputation of the Tantra. So they try to distance themselves from the Tantra. But everything what you are practicing is nothing but Tantra only. But anyway, so Hatha Yoga. So Hatha Yoga is Tantra practice. So what is Hatha Yoga? So what is the internal practices in the Hatha Yoga? We will see. So I'll just enumerate. Then one by one we can discuss. So we can discuss. So first thing is the mantra. So Tantra means the first thing is the mantra. So without mantra there is no Tantra, there is no yoga, there is nothing. Everything is mantra. So mantra means energy. So dealing with the energy. Tantra means energy, the energy means mantra. So that's all. So and then mantra means everything is the prana, then the kundalini, everything is part of that. So mantra. Then we have prana. So mantra, and next comes the prana. So important aspect of prana. So dealing with the prana. So prana is a kind of a external manifestation of the Tantra. So prana. Then of course asana. So asana. So not only Hatha Yoga, elaborate Hatha Yoga asanas, but also internal. So sitting, quiet, calm, still. So that's very important in Tantra, especially in Kundalini Yoga. In Kundalini Yoga, sitting still. So being still is very important. So in the meditation, stilling the mind, stilling the body, then stilling the mind. It comes. Then asana. Then pranayama. So prana and pranayama. So both are. So how the prana works and how pranayama purifies all the 5 layers of personality. How pranayama purifies all the 5 layers of the personality. So pranayama. Then we have nadis, understanding the nadis, energy channels, understanding the channels, energy channels. So not only energy, the channels of the mind, consciousness, flow of consciousness, and also all the srotovaha. So means all the channels of the body fluids and liquids, all the, so so yeah, we will discuss that more details. Then of course we have nadis and nadi shuddhi, so purification of the nadis, and then the chakras, understanding the chakras, energy, conscious, psycho, spiritual energy centers. So we have to translate like that. So conscious, spiritual, psycho, spiritual, conscious, psycho, spiritual energy centers, understanding the chakra system, and what is called bhuta shuddhi. So bhuta shuddhi. So bhuta shuddhi and the chakra dharana. So bhuta shuddhi means it's a part of the chakra meditation, part of the chakra, bhuta shuddhi. So purifying the chakras. So bhutas actually. So pancha bhutas, elements. The chakras are representing the elements. So bhuta shuddhi. Then kundalini yoga. So kundalini yoga, also called kula kundalini, bhujangini. There are various names for the kundalini. So kundalini yoga or kula kundalini or bhujangini, etc. Various names are there. I will mention when it comes there. So when you see that. Then understanding the granthis. So granthi and bandha. So granthi is the psycho-spiritual knot. So psycho-spiritual knot, granthi, and the bandha. So energy locks, psycho-spiritual energy locks. So they're all connected. So understanding this. So granthis and bandhas and mudras. So psycho-spiritual, so gestures. So mudras. So they're all internal tantra. So these are the subject of internal tantra. So understanding the mudras, understanding the mantra, nada, laya yoga. So mantra, nada we have seen earlier. That's also part of the internal tantra only. So nada yoga, laya yoga, of course they're all connected. If you say mantra yoga or japa yoga, nada yoga, laya yoga, they're all connected only. So which we have seen earlier briefly. So then the matruka. So matruka, matruka nyasa. So matruka means all the 50 letters of the alphabet, Sanskrit alphabet, and how we are using this matruka, so to purify the whole body, with the mantra of the letters of the Sanskrit, so we are purifying the whole body, so it's called nyasa. So this is the fundamental practice of Hatha Yoga. I mean Yoga Nidra. So so body scan comes from that. So understanding the four stages of the walk, shabda. We have seen para, pashanti, madhyama, vaikari. 4 stages of how the evolution of the walk, the shabda. Then shat karmas. So 6 purificatory yogic cleansing techniques. They're also part of the Hatha Yoga, part of the Tantra only. So 6 shat karmas. So shat karmas. Then internal Tantra includes various types of visualization meditations. Elaborate visualization meditation techniques are there. So these visualization meditations are very important because they trigger the internal samskaras in order to purify the mind, especially the subconscious mind and unconscious mind. So these visualization meditations on the symbols, psychic symbols, visualizations and the psychic symbols. The psychic symbols are very important. So the psychic symbols trigger the samskaras, hidden samskaras, in order to purify, in order to process, and in order to get rid of the samskaras. Until and unless you get rid of the samskaras, so you will not be able to expand your awareness. So the psychic symbols. Then the meditations. Meditations, visualization meditations, and symbol-based meditations or pure silence meditations of the, pure mantra meditations. It can be visualizations, or it can be pure mantra meditations and silent meditations. So then important is yoga nidra, very important practice, not only for relaxation and also working with the samskaras, very important, samskaras and chakras and samskaras. So triggering the samskaras in order to heal. And Tantra also includes various healing techniques, elaborate healing techniques are there. All psychological healing, elaborate psychological healing techniques. So, and Tantra includes mind sciences. It's all mind, mantra, mind, I tell you. So understanding the mind. So understanding the psychology, full of psychology. So understanding the emotions, understanding the various layers of personality, and the mind sciences. So much of contribution from mind sciences, and understanding the unconscious mind. So understanding the unconscious mind. So depth psychology. So it's a depth psychology, understanding the unconscious mind, understanding the samskaras and the archetypes. All the archetypes we talk about, the personality traits which govern the human personality, the traits. And it's almost over. Only two points. Understanding the id, ego, and super ego. So that understanding the id, ego, and super ego, according to Freudian model of personality, id, ego, super ego. And we also have a lot of metaphysics. So metaphysical, without the so Tantra, so without the metaphysics, Tantra is incomplete. Tantra has got its own metaphysics, complete system. Tantra is a complete system, complete system. So metaphysics, and so metaphysics, and finally liberation, moksha, release. Moksha is that's a ultimate goal is the liberation. So that's why. So it's a complete science, understanding the energy, understanding the consciousness, understanding the mind, and finally discovering oneself. So this is the subject matter of internal Tantra, or Tantra in general, or yoga in general. Yeah.
Ok, will translate. Entonces, por ejemplo, una historia bien famosa, que es cuando estaba Sri Ramakrishna en una de las últimas encarnaciones que tuvo. Él era un priest en español, se me fue la palabra. ¿Cómo se dice priest en español?
Cura.
Como un cura, la palabra en español es rara, como un cura de un templo de Kali, ¿ok? Y entonces él le hacía todas las puyas a Kali y hacía toda la sadhana. Yes?
Actually, the priest is a wrong translation, actually. In English, so when you say priest, it's a lack of a better word. I said priest, but it's called Purohita. So Sanskrit name is Purohita. That means the well-wisher of the whole city. So Purohita means the well-wisher of the whole city. So priest is not a good translation. So Purohita. That means they only facilitate. So they are only facilitating the worship from the devotee to the deity. So that's what. So under they are the well-wishers of the whole humanity, you can say, in that sense.
Okay. Anyway. Como si fuera el cura no es una buena traducción, porque esa personalidad que están en los templos, ellos son los que facilitan la conexión entre los humanos y las deidades. Entonces muchísimo más, es como la conexión con la deidad. Un mediador. Entonces Sri Ramakrishna estaba encarnado en este templo, en esta persona que fue justamente el maestro de Vivekananda. Y él, de tanto hacer como la puya hacia afuera, hacia Kali, internalizó toda esa puya hacia él mismo y entraba en unos estados de samadhi muy profundos. Entonces, él es un claro ejemplo de cómo la devoción hacia afuera puede llevar hacia un camino hacia adentro y conseguir samadhi. Entonces, yendo al tantra, a todas las prácticas tántricas internas, es el Hatha Yoga. Dentro del Hatha Yoga está el Kundalini Yoga también, ¿ok? Hatha Yoga es Tantra aplicado. ¿ok? El Hatha Yoga es el Tantra aplicado en la parte más práctica, ¿ok? Todo interno. Entonces, dentro del Hatha Yoga está el Kundalini Yoga. Partes que están dentro de esta práctica. Voy a enumerar las cosas que están dentro de la práctica de Hatha Yoga, ¿ok? Está el mantra, que es la energía. Sin el mantra no hay nada. El mantra es yoga, yoga es mantra. Sin el mantra no hay yoga, no hay Kundalini. Es lo más importante, es la parte más importante, es el mantra, porque mantra es energía, es todo. Luego está el prana. Luego está la asana, que son las posturas, pero no solamente son las posturas de yoga que hacemos, sino es el hecho de sentarse y sentarse quieto. Es extremadamente importante aprender a sentarse quieto para parar el cuerpo y la mente. Si no hay una quietud absoluta, no sucede la parte de la meditación. Entonces, esa parte de asana implica más el hecho de poder sentarse completamente quieto para frenar y mantener quieto el cuerpo y la mente. Luego está pranayama, que es la purificación de las 5 capas de la personalidad, ¿ok? Es la purificación de ese prana. Luego está los nadis, el estudio de los nadis, que son los canales energéticos. Luego está Nadi Shuddhi. Nadi Shuddhi es la purificación de estos canales energéticos. Aprender sobre los canales energéticos y luego aprender a purificarlos, un nivel más allá. Luego están los chakras, que son centros energéticos de conciencia psicoespiritual, ¿ok? Entonces, aprender sobre los chakras. Luego hay prácticas que se llama Dharana, Chakra Dharana o Buddha Shuddhi, que es la purificación de los 5 elementos. Todo eso son prácticas dentro del Hatha Yoga. Luego está también Granthi, que son los nudos psicoespirituales que hay en el cuerpo, aprender sobre esos Granthi. Luego están los bandhas, que son cierres energéticos, los mudras, que son gestos físicos que se hacen para crear circuitos eléctricos. Todo esto es lo que se estudia en yoga y en tantra, ¿ok? Luego está mantra, nada yoga, laya yoga, japa yoga, que eso tiene que ver todo con la parte del sonido. Está kundalini yoga, está también matruka, ñasa, ¿ya? Ñasa, que es la parte del alfabeto, de aprender todas las sílabas del alfabeto hindú, que cada una tiene un poder muy grande, y eso está también en la parte de mantra, ¿ok? Luego están los satkarmas, que son 6 técnicas de purificación del cuerpo físico y del cuerpo mental, pero se llaman satkarmas, las limpiezas. Luego está la meditación de visualización de símbolos psíquicos. Estos símbolos son muy importantes porque lo que hacen es trigger, esa palabra en inglés es muy buena, trigger, es como que se van directos hacia los samskaras, ¿ok? Esa visualización de símbolos psíquicos se van directos a purificar los samskaras. Y luego ya está, después de todas estas prácticas, ya están las meditaciones en silencio y el yoga nidra. Yoga nidra no solo como una técnica de relajación, sino como una técnica de purificación de samskaras. Es una técnica muy profunda, no solamente las primeras partes de yoga nidra son de relajación, pero luego se puede ir muy profundo en yoga nidra. Y también en tantra yoga hay muchas técnicas de sanación dentro del tantra yoga. De psicología, hay una parte muy grande de purificación del ego y superego, de conocer los arquetipos, y también una parte muy grande metafísica, ¿ok? Sin la metafísica del tantra no hay nada, no está completo. La parte del tantra tiene una metafísica muy fuerte y todo eso se estudia dentro de esa parte de Hatha Yoga para todo esto, para conseguir la liberación, moksha. Ese es el objetivo principal de todas estas prácticas.
Yes. Yeah. So, of course, when you say mantra, so which includes yantra and mandala also, you know.
Okay, yes.
So I forgot to mention that. When you say mantra, immediately it includes yantras and mandalas, so which are very important tools for concentration. And also the yantras and mandalas, they also trigger internal release of that energy. When you say tantra is release of the energy, means they trigger. So they are very important tools for release of the energy, releasing the energy from the matter. You know, so releasing the energy from the matter. So in order to expand your awareness. So, yeah. So, so these are the practices we will discuss one by one. So now we will discuss one by one. So see, the Kundalini, when you say Kundalini Yoga, which the Kundalini Yoga, the awakening of the Kundalini includes all this. So until and unless you purify the body with the prana, understanding what is prana, and doing pranayama, so purifying the body and purifying the nadis, energy channels, and also the lifestyle, the basic lifestyle of a yogic lifestyle of following yamas and niyamas, and internally purifying the whole energy body, the pranamaya kosha, so with all the nadis, all the pranayamas, especially nadi sodhana pranayama, understanding the important nadis and mudras, and practicing bandhas, and practicing bhuta shuddhi. Bhuta shuddhi means basic chakra balancing techniques, purifying the chakras. Then only the Kundalini awakening takes place, because the preparation. So once the preparation is done, the Kundalini awakening so takes place automatically. That is why preparation first. Lot of elaborate preparations with asana, starting with asana and lifestyle. Then so Kundalini awakening is understood in terms of the prana, asana, pranayama, chakra, mudra, bandha, so nadis. So chakra. So this all it's all one system. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Entonces, hablando de mantras, los mantras incluyen yantras y mandalas. Es una parte muy importante porque ayudan a la concentración. Entonces, los mantras, cuando hablamos de mantras, incluimos yantras y mandalas, muy importante. Porque los mantras y los yantras y los mandalas son detonantes que sueltan la energía de la materia. Sueltan la energía de la materia, que eso es lo que hablamos que era el Tantra, ¿ok? Entonces, el despertar del Kundalini es un suceso que ocurre porque ha habido una preparación muy grande de purificación del cuerpo y de la mente y las diferentes capas del cuerpo. Y esta purificación sucede haciendo pranayama, purificando todo el prana, conociendo los nadis, llevando un estilo de vida en relación a los yamas y niyamas, que ya hemos estudiado, vamos a estudiar más, también purificando la energía del cuerpo, prana maya kosha, esa capa del cuerpo que está toda la energía, hay que purificar toda esa energía del cuerpo físico, por ejemplo, con prácticas como nadi sodhana, ¿ok? Que purifican los canales, los nadis, los canales del cuerpo. También haciendo mudras, haciendo bandas, haciendo Buddha Shuddhi, que son las meditaciones básicas de chakras, de balancear los chakras. Todo eso, todas esas prácticas en conjunto lo que hacen es una purificación del cuerpo, y cuando el cuerpo está purificado, ahí se despierta el Kundalini.
Yeah. So here also, when you say yantra mandala, so in the bahiranga sadhanas, in the external practices, we draw the mandalas and yantras externally, but here all internally. So that means all visualizations. Visualizing each and every chakra, for example, visualizing each and every chakra as a particular yantra or a mandala like that. So internal practices. It's all internal. Yeah.
Yes. En la parte interna, cuando utilizamos, por ejemplo, los mandalas, en la parte externa también se utilizan incluso los mantras, mandalas o yantras de la forma física, ¿ok? El mandala, el yantra está dibujado, pero en la parte interna es como una visualización, ya sea con los chakras, por ejemplo, visualizando los diferentes mandalas o yantras de cada chakra para purificarlos, pero son todo prácticas internas.
Yeah. So, I think we'll stop here. Next class we'll start with step by step. So I mean
Yes.
Each topic. So mantra, then what is anama. So briefly we'll go, and we'll more elaborately we can discuss. If it comes to the pranayama, we'll discuss of course, and chakras. So how to balancing the chakras and the meditations. Then finally Kundalini. So all the things we'll discuss. Yeah.
Very good. Entonces, vamos a parar aquí, y el siguiente jueves vamos a ir desglosando toda esta parte, todas estas prácticas una por una hasta llegar al Kundalini, cómo se balancean los chakras y todo eso. Vamos a ir desglosando la importancia de cada una de estas prácticas. Entonces, bueno, allí nos vemos. Sigan atentos a todas estas enseñanzas que nos está compartiendo Keshava de una manera muy noble. Me siento muy agradecida, de verdad, una vez más. Cada día lo digo, pero cada día estoy más agradecida. Thank you so much, Keshavaji, to be here with us, sharing knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Nos vemos el próximo jueves. Sean buenos, practiquen el Dharma, que hace mucha falta en la tierra, y sean lo mejor que puedan ser. Nos vemos el próximo jueves.